Welcome back, everybody. Apologies for that delay, but it looks like we are all good now to move ahead as we get ready for our first game in our doubleheader here in week number 7. Straight to the picks and bans we go. My name is Formal. Joining me is Rhaegar as we get ready to see who one of our next teams will be qualifying into the playoffs.
So it's going to be interesting to see what early bans are, whether they go for meta picks or if they go for trying to make players uncomfortable. As we wait for this first ban to come through.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see where we go. It will be that Seraphine that you were talking about before. Not too surprising to see that get taken away, considering how strong of a bot lane presence it might be. Expect to see a lot more meta bans, perhaps, than meta picks in these types of events. A lot of times players will fall back onto comfort, although that Ahri ban is a little bit of a surprise to me. Typically, that's taken in response to an AD carry mid. I'm sort of wondering right now if our red side is kind of revealing their hand a little bit too soon.
Yeah, and Ahri hasn't been played a whole bunch lately, so having banned that niche counter, it might be giving away more than they think it is. There's Nuggets taken away now.
Yeah, a bit of a top lane focus, perhaps coming from our SPCC Tide. Curious to see where Wavell will go from here. They are going to kind of do something similar and ban away that top side as well. It's interesting. Wavell is kind of matching the bans in terms of roles. It's one side takes away a, magey type character. So too will Wavell. SPCC gets rid of a top laner. So too will Wavell. If this sort of reactionary ban time and time again might be leaving them a little bit on the back foot.
Yeah, it'd also be interesting to see if happyphace's Camille gets through. As looking at his OPGG, 97 games on the champion.
Yeah, a lot of experience. You'll see that a few times with these players where they have sort of one champion in mind that they might be looking to focus on. But again, it's mirroring bans. Support for support. That's right. I'm calling Lux a support. We're not going to call her anything else but that. Best performed in the bot lane. Don't take her in mid, please. I hate laning against them. Either way, though, that is our first set of bans. Now for that priority pick out of SPCC. Kind of surprising that no marksmen were taken away. I wouldn't be surprised if SPCC looked to go straight to that bot lane.
With Senna, this could be a tricky matchup, because they could go for the ADC Senna, or they could go for the fasting Senna and pair it up with something like the Scion or the Cho'Gath, and just go for more scaling. As we see Nocturne and a TF hover. This would be a great combo to pick up together, making global map plays.
It would be a lot of that global map presence, although now we're seeing that sort of hover back over onto the Nico instead. I'm leaning more towards the Twisted Fate. I have to agree. My one issue is taking a Twisted Fate blind can lead to some very difficult mid lane matchups. And while Nocturne can provide the support to a Twisted Fate needed post-level 6, the pre-level 6 game, it could be quite difficult for the TheRealOne right here, assuming the Twisted Fate is going mid. I'd like to see Stacked right now sort of prioritize an aggressive mid laner, that Diana, more than likely in the jungle. But now is the time, Stack. You know your matchup. Lock in something that can really punish this Twisted Fate pick.
The Diana's also a good pick. It's an early ganking jungler that you can use to counteract the fact that Nocturne's not going to do anything for the first 6 levels.
Yeah, it is going to be a strong pick. The Syndra, I think it's a all right go. Not really having that pre-level 6 kill pressure, though, that I would have been hoping for to come from SPCC if it does get locked in, which it does. Thinking a lot more for the late game, as this blue side seems to be gearing themselves up for a bit more of a team fight necessarily than a lane kingdom. Diana is something that could be applying that pressure. I do agree. Don't get me wrong, especially if the Scattered of the Weak is able to connect. However, I really would have liked to see something akin almost to an Echo or something along those lines. Maybe even that Tristana getting locked in. I think those could have been 2 options that really could have punished this Twisted Fate mid.
The other thing we could be missing is this could always be a center support with a Syndra bot lane and just completely throw off your opponents with the Mega Flex.
I mean, you're not wrong. I would be very shocked if we are seeing SPCC go in that direction, just because historically we've seen more conventional lanes in the past in this event. Not saying that wouldn't be an unwelcome change. I mean, we still can see something fun in that bot lane, like the Cho'Gath get locked in. I wouldn't be too shocked if we do see them go that direction. But not knowing who they're necessarily going to be matching up into that bot lane, I imagine We're going to wait and see. ozquikmick is probably going to be the one who picks up Senna's counterpart, waiting to get as much information as possible out of Wavell first. Speaking of Wavell, they have sort of banned away a couple of those engaged supports with the Leona and the Nautilus. Tells me they could be thinking for something akin to a more safe lane, or they could be thinking the dive as they're hovering the Kai'Sa at the moment. Would you then want to play that Nautilus or Leona?
I feel like you'd want to pick... You always want to pick a CC support when it comes to Kai'Sa, just to help her out with her passive. So the fact that they banned away the Leona and the Nautilus is a little curious to me, as we see Darius get picked up into the Shen. Wavell has a lot of global pressure right now with the Nocturne, TF, and Shen, so seeing how they play around this will be interesting.
It's a lot of global pressure, and it's a lot of dive pressure at that same token. So when we're looking at what sort of support they want to play, first of all, I love this Rell pickup on the side of SPCC. One of the best counter-engage supports you can go for. I would not like the Taric. I don't think that would really suit their dive style. Pyke as well seems needlessly aggressive. This feels like a Thresh situation for me, something that could really get in there, but they are going to go for the Taric. And I'm kind of worried about the gap close of their initiation right now on the Wavell side. They have that dive comp put together, but who's going to be the one who takes that initial plunge? It's going to be a lot of pressure on a Shen who usually wants to arrive to a team fight a little bit later following up with the dive. I'm very curious how Wavell's going to play this.
So if Wavell play this the way they should on paper, it'll start with either Nocturne going in with his ulti with Shen on top of him, riding him just into battle, or TF going into the backline and just Zhonya's as soon as he goes in and wait for the team to follow up.
I guess that's it. I don't know. Like, to me, that seems like so much pressure on the real one. It kind of has to go down onto blahbzehh to be that initiating force for Wavell's dive composition. I'm very nervous about that because when you're running a dive comp against a team that has a fair bit of spacing and counter engage between the Syndra and the Rell, realistically, SPCC should be able to sort of see this coming and react in time to it. I feel as if, unfortunately, Wavell may have drafted themselves into a little bit of a hole here.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to play SPCC's comp because all you have to do is just play reactionary, wait for them to go in, kite back with Scout of the Week and the Senna, and then just engage once all their cooldowns are off. So the only real disengage they have is the Taric ultimate, but I don't think that's enough to get them away.
Yeah,
so
it's a toughie.
Yeah. If the early game, if early to mid is even, I think SPCC have the better comp here, just out of pure ease of play.
Ease of play, yes. However, I do sort of worry at the same time about the sustained damage that we could see come out of SPCC as well. Strangely enough, I always feel Darius is in the best place to succeed for this team composition, especially if all the focus is going to be spent diving on that back line. I feel a lot of the damage in a traditional 5v5 fight probably will be coming from the Darius, and this is something we haven't seen for a while. I know last year Darius was kind of like the unofficial raid boss of the Queensland state. This year, haven't seen too much of him so far in 2021, but this could be that game where we see happyphace absolutely step up on this champion. I'm going to be expecting a little bit of that lane kingdom. If I am UnusedMove right now, I'm actually looking to get the Darius ahead.
Yeah, if you get that Darius ahead and keep Shen behind, yes, he has the ultimate that he can save someone with, but once he gets there, he's just going to be paper because he's not going to have the items, he's not going to have the pressure to do much if he gets behind from the Darius.
Yeah, exactly. And like one of the best ways to sort of negate a Shen's global presence, obviously, is to keep them pinned under tower as much as possible. Granted, don't be surprised if Shen does come out with a couple of these early trades coming out on top. Revenant Reaper on this Shen could be someone who looks to sort of get that early trade and try to get that top lane advantage as well. So much of this game is going to be determined pre-level 6 and what SPCC can do. If they get a tone advantage, it will make the dives from Wavell that much more difficult, which is already going to be a tough ask for them. This game definitely going to be testing both of these teams. I feel like if they want to make it to those playoffs, Rigor, you've got to win this game. Or next week, if you fall short, you have 2 chances, but it's always better to hit it in one try. We'll be very curious to see who comes out on top, as we will be throwing to a quick break while we wait out the rest of this spectator delay. But when we come back, we'll be heading to Summoner's Rift for our first game of this doubleheader. Welcome back, everybody, to Summoner's Rift. We're finally into the action right now. On our blue side, SPCC. In red, it is Wavell. Playoffs on the line for the victor of this matchup. For the loser, well, they'll get another chance next week, but you'd rather get it done now, as happyphace already looking for a bit of action. Now, Aaron, we did both notice that Ghost being taken by happyphace. That kind of tells us we're looking at more of a lane kingdom setup for this Darius player.
Yeah, so his whole goal this lane is just to try and kill Shen or keep Shen under his tower as much as possible and not let him roam. However, the other thing we noticed, Wavell have gone with double TP on Shen and TF. So they've essentially got endless map pressure with the ults, the TPs. So they're going to look for more of a 1-3-1 and just try and out-roam them.
And it's a little bit crazy to me to think that happyphace is going to be committing this hard in that lane kingdom, knowing that any overextension can be punished so hard. Not to mention, when I looked at that Wavell team composition, it didn't look like to me they had an obvious answer to this Darius. And although I understand the want to sort of play that side lanes, draw perhaps that global pressure more towards you to help enable the rest of your team, I feel like the sort of mirror to that would be how effective happyphace can be if allowed properly to set up in a team fight. And that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do both. However, by going with the Ghost instead of the teleport, he's really locked in at this mindset of I'm just going to stay in lane all game, and it further enables the sort of 5 TP map control strategy we're seeing out of Wavell. Neither team not really reacting to what their opponents are doing and are just hard stuck in their own ways in the game they want to play.
Yeah, so the other thing we've got to look at is where jungle started. Nocturne had the standard blue buff with bot leash, whereas Diana went for Raptors with no leash, and their bot lane kind of gave away that she's not on the red buff, so she's going to be a little bit behind early in terms of clear against the Nocturne, who got the leash and was able to clear blue buff faster than what Diana can alone.
Yeah, it was sort of an interesting decision. Usually you would go for something like this if you were either A, looking to invade, or B, looking just to ensure you get that lane pushing in your favor for perhaps setting up, an early crab or something along those lines. But Örvendeck and ozquikmick didn't really establish that lane pressure that they were hoping to. And the end result kind of is giving away information almost for free. It's not as if, things are too atypical, though, and it's not all doom and gloom for SPCC. Nocturne stereotypically actually is a red buff starter. So to see Nocturne start on the blue side, which was given away by Snowstorm and GeneDaGenie arriving late to lane, will let SPCC know that for the most part, the junglers should be on the same side of the map. And if we do see an early clash between the two, I would be kind of banking on Diana to come out on top.
Yeah, well, we just saw Darius make that move down to the red buff to water early, which was cleared out by Nocturne, but SPCC have knowledge on where Nocturne is, how many camps he's cleared, and where he's looking to go next.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for blahbzehh, I think, to be able to make that move. Actually going back to the bot side, giving up that crab, but also giving up the full clear as well, just to make sure that they don't get double crabbed. Meanwhile, the response by UnusedMove is actually to start sort of stalking this mid lane. I'm curious if he got spotted out. Would have been seen, actually, by TheRealOne. And I'm curious if, yes, UnusedMove is going straight for that river, but will arrive too lately. blahbzehh a bit too quick in getting to that bot side, won't get double crabbed, and that was a lot of time wasted by UnusedMove.
Yeah, he could have committed to going through the top side, just double checking if the Krugs are gone, or even committing to clearing his own top side, but just kind of wasted a lot of time there going down to try and contest the crab, even though he knew Nocturne was going down there.
Well, that's just it. I think maybe not expecting the crab to go down that quickly. Was hoping to turn things around. Meanwhile, happyphace, that's a good chunk of damage on Revenant Reaper. Needs to be careful, though. There's a lot of minions that can wail on happyphace, but it might not matter. The bleed and the flash means nothing. That's going to be first blood going over to happyphace. I suppose you could say it's phase 1 of his lane domination strategy now put into motion.
Oh, that was awful.
I had to force it.
The Darius took a nice trade there. He was getting poked out a little bit by minions there, but the Shen walking away from the minion wave kind of solidified his death there, and the wasted flash is going to punish him for the next 5 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how much Darius tries to pressure this more, or if he just kind of takes his foot off the gas.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be more pressure, right? Yeah, that's typically what you do when you get that first blood. Speaking of pressure, real one, Just going to get beaten up a little bit. It seems like every time we go to a lane right now, SPCC is just doing their best to poke, harass, and bully their opponents. And they have the freedom, you would think, to do so against a Nocturne jungle, yet get too over-eager as ozquikmick goes in at a very unfortunate time. He should be surrounded, but it's sort of a mix-up in priorities. Eventually, ozquikmick will be focused down. It could have happened a lot faster. The end result still probably would have been the same, though. A return kill for Wavell.
That was really unfortunate timing there by ozquik. He sees that Senna gets some good poke down, so he's like, okay, we can go in. And then is immediately punished by the Nocturne there. So it was a great bait on behalf of the Genie, but...
I wish my teams would do this. Whenever I gank bot lane, get a kill, and then just immediately follow me to Dragon. I honestly swear, every single time we do this, even in the premiers, I go like, hey, that was a sweet gank. You want to help me with Dragon? They're like, oh, yeah, but one more wave, though. And then we wind up losing out Dragon because it's like, I'm not going to help. I'm going to have to reset. Instead, other team takes advantage of the situation. Not Wavell. They commit to the Dragon, and that leads to a happy jungler.
So... that is probably the least selfish Kai'Sa I've seen. Every other ADC probably would have just stayed in lane, make the turret go off and help. You get that solo gold, solo XP. But Genie's being a real helper here. All
right. I don't know if people could tell. Jungle main, Aaron is the AD carry main. I may or may not have been hinting, hey, Aaron, come help me at Dragon next time. But no, clearly it's just a selfless Kai'Sa player. And you know what? I think I'd rather play with Gene now in the future.
Look, Genie's probably better than me. He knows what he's doing. He's still in the meta league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like those kinds of team plays. I like those decisions. And guess what? That Ocean Drake soul probably going to help out. That first of hopefully what should be many. It's at least going to be an Ocean Drake buff. Definitely going to pay dividends for Revenant Reaper, who has been harassed quite a bit by happyphace in that top lane. Haven't had a chance yet to use that Stand United or that teleport play. Both the Shen and the Twisted Fate each have those ultimates available, so that map pressure should be in effect. That's going to mean every single neutral objective fight, Wavell will have the ability to arrive, collapse, and get to the scene as fast as possible. That is why SPCC really needed those lanes to get ahead, and I'm not sure they've accrued themselves a large enough lead, at least not in the mid or the bot side. Top side is going quite their way.
Even the jungle is going a little bit more favor towards the Nocturne right now, just because he's already reset. Whereas the Diana still has not reset even it's into the game, so sitting on a lot of gold right now, probably should have looked to recall a bit earlier, but...
Yeah, that's actually a scary amount of gold sitting on that Diana right now. Nearly hit that 2K mark. Typically, you see a jungler's first reset after that first clear around that 1K where you can get that first item component and sometimes boots if you were a little bit greedy. But to stay out this long, you are sacrificing so much global pressure, especially with that Herald now into play. And with Nocturne hitting the Paranoia now already, if they go in, there's not much UnusedMove is going to be able to do. Case in point, that's going to be the focus, and UnusedMove tries to stay alive for as long as possible, will go down, but did buy enough time for happyphace to get a return kill on the RealOne. Stack arrives, scatters the weak, and unleashes the power. SPCC turning this fight around. Revenant Reaper falls as well. 2 guillotine chops, a slamming and a jamming and a dunking his way through. happyphace starting to pop off on this Darius.
So that was a great engage there by Wavell. The only issue is that Nocturne's gone for the Iron Whip rather than going for more of the assassin, try and one-shot any carry that he can. So they didn't really have much damage other than the TF. And with the Senna ult coming through as well as the new Diana ulti giving her the shield with more people she ults, there wasn't much they could do.
Oh, this could be bad. The stun did not connect for Snowstorm, and you can see that turnaround, although ozquik not level 6, has to be careful. Killer Instinct used by Gene to pick up the first kill. They should be able to get the second, as well as Örvendeck still has flash and heal available, holding on to it quite late, and actually will get away with one. Snowstorm nearly falling to the tower.
That was a lot of focus there put onto the Taric rather than trying to maybe go for the Kai'Sa. Yes, the Taric was ahead earlier, but maybe look to turn on the Kai'Sa a bit earlier than what they did, and maybe they could get more pressure and potentially save Rell's life there.
as this game is progressing. It could have been nice to possibly find both. Instead, though, they still get one, and I still feel Wavell's going to be happy with that. They sort of need to match this topside pressure, which is quickly starting to snowball out of control right now. A nearly 30 or 40 CS difference has equated to a near 2K gold lead for happyphace over Revenant Reaper. And we did sort of highlight this Darius. I don't see an answer for it on the Wavell team comp. And now accelerated at this pace, it's going to be even worse for this red side.
Yeah, so Darius right now is kind of just destroying any chance that Shen has to roam right now. Because if Shen leaves, he's going to lose most likely the tower and give up so much. And I don't think there's enough that Shen can gain back on the other side of the map right now to make it worth him teleporting away and losing more CS.
Yeah, and if you're a blahbzehh as well, that's not necessarily a lane you feel like you can sort of help out. Darius matches up quite well into Nocturne, and even with the help of the Shen, to find a kill there would be very difficult. If I'm Blah, I'm going to be looking to try to accelerate this bot lane and try and stop this dragon from going through, although if the real one gets choked down right here, ooh, very fortunate to dodge that scatter of the week. The dragon was started by SPCC. Blah walks straight into the middle of 3, is able to sidestep that crowd control. Voidseeker does connect. Do we see the killer instinct? It would have been very ambitious. Instead, everyone holds their line. RealOne has back to base, has the ability to teleport into the action, and does so right on the ward, but it's SPCC who makes the first move, holds everyone from Wavell in a nice chokehold and gets a lot of damage down. Yes, the Stand United comes through, but it only buys so much time. The hunt is on, flashing over the wall. Unused move is going to focus their sights over to the TheRealOne. The Twisted Fate goes down. Snowstorm, the only survivor of that fight for Wavell, as the dragon will be SPCC's reward.
It was a good idea to go for the reset by the TF and teleport back into the fight. However, teleporting into 4 members in the middle of them probably wasn't the best choice of TP spot. So they had a good idea there to reset, buy items, come back in stronger, but it just wasn't executed very well. And SPCC with a great engage onto 3 members into the 4th there. So there wasn't a whole lot they could do there with the amount of CC and just lockdown they had there.
So something else that I noticed in that play, happyphace went down to Revenant Reaper. And I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I think it actually disrupted the Stand United. And he sacrificed his life to go under the tower to do so. You can see the flash was burned by happyphace. I'm assuming it was sort of a flash under the tower, looked to disrupt, got taunted, and then just couldn't make his way out. And I'm curious if that really was necessary, because it felt like by the time the Stand United was used, the team fight was already well under control. And I'm a little concerned that happyphace may have given up some of that momentum, some of that tempo for very little gains. That said, though, it hasn't really gone back the other way. happyphace just laying work to this tower right now. It still feels like the top lane is in control for this Darius player.
Darius dying there is a little unfortunate, but I don't think he's too worried about the Shen coming back right now. Even with the shutdown god, I think he's still well ahead and has enough pressure to still counteract the shutdown gold, as we do get a pause now.
Yeah, we do get the pause. We kind of saw it come up on screen, the TheRealOne disconnecting from the game. We'll hopefully be back into this one shortly. However, just 13 minutes, 10 seconds into this game, I have to admit, my concerns about the dive composition not really having their ways in, not having their correct targets, so far are coming to light. And wow, that bot lane has found success in an island. When it's come to these team fights, at least during the early stages, SPCC really seems to be outclassing their counterparts.
Yeah, the only saving grace they can probably look for right here is the fact that it's a Cloud Soul. Look to play around Stand United, Paranoia, and the Fate's Call, and just try and go for ult plays as much as possible, catching out either the Diana, the Syndra, or even potentially the Senna.
Oh my goodness. So, before we had our little break, and as the stream was so happy to mention us, it was a little bit of that coffee time. Well, I did go get some coffee. I got myself a mocha I bought earlier, kind of left it in the fridge. All of that chocolate just fell to the bottom, and I took a sneaky little sip. I just got a mouthful of thick chocolate sludge, and I'm trying to recover right now. That was intense. That was... Yeah. All right. Anyways, back to the action at hand. Look, speaking of, finding some thick targets, Paranoia gets used by blahbzehh to try and save the target. That is Snowstorm. Killer Instinct on that back line by Gene does cut off Örvendeck from getting too involved, and that means ozquik again is going to fall. Good positioning out of this Kai'Sa player.
great positioning, but my only issue with that play is that Nocturne had the vision to go on Senna. Rell's not getting out of there. She's in her walking form, so she's got 0 move speed, can't really walk around. So you could have had Tarek just distract while you get the kill onto the Nocturne, but as it is, Senna gets away and the Rell dies again. So it's unfortunate for the Rell, but at least she got her ADC out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, though, because it's also a little unfortunate for Wavell that they are finding kills, yes, but all of them are on this Rell and not really on who are going to be those damage threats moving forward. happyphace still going to be a very scary threat in that side lane. Stacked has low-key sort of just been building a gold lead for themselves as well. Actually, it's more even than one might expect thanks to Twisted Fate's passive, but still sitting at 2-0-3, still sort of accelerating this Syndra play. These are going to be the two targets, I feel. Örvendeck, to their credit, might be a losing lane right now for the side of SPCC, but has been doing a good job staying alive, trying to build those stacks on the Senna as we pass the 15-minute mark, only sitting on 30 for the time being, but that is at the stage of the game right now where it should start to accelerate a little bit more.
Yeah, and the gold lead in this game right now is essentially just the Darius gold lead right now. Every other lane is going even. No one is super far ahead or counteracting it. It's just the Darius that's super far ahead as...
Stacked? Okay, Stacked did move. It's a little worried right there. I was just sitting there eating a couple autos before our camera decided to show us what's happening up top. It's interesting, though, again, because, yes, happyphace is that one player ahead. I don't want to sound like a broken record, Aaron, but like that's exactly what I feared was going to happen this game. I don't know what the answer to this Darius is going to be, except for maybe spreading out the map so much that the lack of teleport looks to punish, or you look to go in on him. Everyone's trying to dive bomb this Darius. Perhaps this is going to be the go, but happyphace is still quite tanky and might be able to buy enough time. Unused move, going to look for that counter engage. Doesn't hit with the Crescent Strike, but it might not matter. Oh, what a stand. United does make the save initially. However, the target still falls. happyphace just kind of laughing like you sent 3 at me. And now look what's happening. Unused move. Continuing this re-engage. The yellow card is there and it gets stopped before it's able to be thrown. The real one tries to run away. He never threw that card. The teleport does enough to disrupt. And now everything goes so poorly to Wavell. What started as a 3v1 one way ends a 3v1 the other way. And SPCC accelerates their lead.
So at this point now, Nocturne has to ignore the Darius until he is in the team fight, and they need to look to get either the Kai'Sa more fed or TF back into this game through plays through bot, because sending 3 top lane to kill the now 5-1 Darius didn't go your way. He went in a little earlier ahead of the other 2 people, so maybe that could have been the issue there, but I don't think they kill even if everyone was on time.
Yeah, I don't. This is going exactly like what we didn't want it to go. And I did point out a bit earlier, back when it was, people still at level 6, I don't want to see blahbzehh make plays on that top side of the map, just because the Nocturne and Darius matchup is not a good matchup for Nocturne. This is going to end poorly more often than not. And your best bet is to accelerate where you have the lead kind of occurring naturally with Gene on this Kai'Sa. Now, Dragon Fight is being scouted by blahbzehh. Paranoia is going to come off cooldown perhaps right before it goes down. blahbzeh is considering it, but decides against it. However, happyphace wants to force an issue, does get double stunned, but is able to still find blahbzeh and throw him back into the fight. blahbzeh now needs to be careful. Yes, they are immortal, and that does stop unused moves re-engage, but it doesn't stop the rest of SPCC to come piling through. Another pick for our blue side.
happyphace did not care about anything there and just wanted to run at people. Did not care for the dragon, saw 3 enemies and went, the last time I did this, it went well. Let's try this again. And proceeds to get the kill. And
the last time he did this, he didn't even have that dead man's plate that he has now. Was able to fully buy a completed item off of that last back. This Darius has entered raid boss phase. There is no answer, I feel, for this Darius, unfortunately, moving forward. Twisted Fate really is the only one who's going to be itemizing against him, perhaps, as it is a heavy armor focus. But Twisted Fate behind enough already and not really going for that damage build, having gone for the Everfrost first. I feel like happyphace can do whatever he wants at this stage of the game.
Yeah, so the only saving grace, seeing as TF has gone for the Everfrost and more utility build, is the Kai'Sa getting any sort of shutdown that she can and just propelling her and kiting away the Darius. Because yes, he has the Stride Breaker, but he still has the same issue where after he uses that, his only other gap closer is his flash. So if he can get poked out, maybe they have a chance, but I'm not too confident in that.
Especially considering that GeneDaGenie hasn't even gone for really like an optimal damage build as well, going for the Gale Force, which is even more utility for a team that is quite significantly behind and doesn't have an answer for the front line of SPCC. I am getting more concerned now. I understand the point of having the high mobility. It does go with the team that's wanting to control as much of the map as possible. However, when they did start to falter early in this game, it's going to make this utility build that much more difficult for a team composition that has already been struggling. They need to get Genie to that second item as fast as possible. They call it the 7,100 gold spike. That is going to be key for them. And you can see already making the way down, blahbzehh is going to look to make that play, but so too is happyphace in the jungle. Revenant Reaper doing, what is this Darius doing here? How do I get out of this one? A yellow card will help, but the life steal comes out in time. However, it's a lot of damage being thrown back. happyphace in a bit of trouble, does get saved by this Senna and is able to stay alive. That's it, Paranoia is used, but no vision. They're going to have to rely on the gate in order to try and find a way through it. Even then, blahbzehh does not commit. happyphace gets away with yet another play.
How does he keep getting away with these? I thought he was gonna die. They finally get the shutdown. Center ult. There's nothing they can do right now to Darius where they don't have a response just to turn it around for him.
Yeah, that was a beautiful use of Örvendeck's Dawning Shadow right there to keep happyphace alive. And I mean, we saw the potential of the Paranoia mixed with Destiny for that re-engage, but opting against it. I actually feel as if blahbzehh was perhaps a little bit too far out of position to really commit to that. Either way, happyphace now 7-1-2. That feeling, you gotta be feeling so immortal at this stage. You're able to walk into the enemy jungle, survive a sort of 2v1 encounter, get away with a kill as well. I don't know if this is going to be the right play. Stacked is actually going to be the target. happyphace stuck in the middle as well. Stacked flashes to safety, going immortal just as happyphace goes for the re-engage. Doesn't get a lot of that damage. However, in that mosh pit, that's where happyphace wants to be. The first ultimate does get canceled, and happyphace might go down, flashing forwards Revenant Reaper, and they take down the raid boss. Stack looking to be that next target. Snowstorm and the real one looking to chase, but UnusedMove has the flank onto Revenant Reaper and is trying to get rid of this Shen. The damage not quite there. Shen a little bit too tanky, but time has been bought for Örvendeck and ozquikmick to re-engage in the fight. They get the root, they get the damage, and the real one does go down.
That was a great pincer there by Wavell. A little bit of an overcommit afterwards, but they had the great engage onto the Darius and the Syndra. They got 3 flashes, well, 2 flashes for that. Might have been a bit better to just go away after the initial infight, but can't fault them for trying to get more with how far behind they are right now.
As we're seeing more armor stack being put onto happyphace at the end of that last fight. I actually wouldn't mind if he had gone for something more like the Spirit Visage, because it is starting to look like the real one is doing a fair bit of damage to this Darius in some of these fights. However, hey, I'm not going to fault it if it's still working out for them. And with a 5 KDA, a near, 65% kill participation, definitely happyphace doing their job. Although I also want to give credit to UnusedMove on this Diana. We saw the damage wasn't enough to take out Revenant Reaper. However, I feel the positioning and the involvement from this Diana player has been, pretty top-notch.
Yeah, Diana, that fight, she tried to just get as much as she could. Kept Shen from joining the rest of the team and has really been following Nocturne everywhere he wants to go and just being there, being more productive rather than just letting him do what he wants, which is what we wanted to see early.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it was a really excellent early game out of SPCC, and it's one that's attributed to this lead now, sitting at around 8K overall. Again, a majority of that gold lead coming from that top lane at this stage, as it's a bit of 3K for happyphace over the top of Revenant Reaper, although it's about 2.5K for UnusedMove over blahbzehh as well. These are sort of our 2 largest discrepancies, and it's what keeping SPCC ahead in this game. That lack of teleport, though, this is where that could come to falter, because it's not as if happyphace can really sit in a side lane and still provide that global pressure. happyphace really has to draw a lot of that aggro to themselves and then be able to get out alive. I imagine he's going to be trying to set up on the top side right now, as even in a 2v1 is keeping Revenant Reaper and blahbzehh on that back foot.
So, a couple of things to know here. Right now, Darius will probably go to the opposite side of whatever objective they want, purely for the fact of they need more than one person to send to him. And if they send Nocturne and TF, they can't deal with the 4v3 from the other members. The other thing, Senna bought Serpent's Fang to deal with the Stand United.
Oh, that's a brilliant buy right there. I love that sort of adaptation. And it feels to me that SPCC is playing a lot more prepared and understanding their opponent's strengths at a different level than what Wavell might be doing back to them. The only fault I have is this ghost on the Darius and not being able to establish that map pressure. And I do agree with you. Yes, there is that chance of, Darius going, opposite to sort of the strong side to try and draw that pressure that way. But the thing is, if Wavell can deal with the Darius fast enough, they can turn a fight right back around because they have those global ults and those teleports that they can play two sides of the map with a lot more ease than even a fed Darius could. As Paranoia gets used, they think they've caught out Stack, who immediately has to scatter the weak. Stand United being played. This is 5 people jumping on one lonely mid laner. They get the kill, yes, but what do they give up in return?
So Darius are pushing the top wave, but they're still looking to get...
why are they reacting? Why is Diana going bot? You should probably be looking to give this one up. Instead, though, UnusedMove actually might be able to capitalize on a very low blah. The hunt is on, but there's just too many bodies at the moment for Wavell to stop this Diana. That said, still looks for that engage, and they get popped before going immortal thanks to the likes of the Cosmic Radiance. Granted, that was UnusedMove giving their life for it, and now the damage gets turned back around. SPCC forcing a fight where they really did not need to.
The other issue there is, yes, you go in and kill the Nocturne. The Nocturne's 1 in 6. You don't really need to kill him or want to waste things to kill him. All their kills, all their gold right now is on the Kai'Sa. They should be prioritizing the Kai'Sa, especially when she doesn't get into the Cosmic Radiance. So maybe a bit overzealous, just trying to see low health, got to go kill him, but not sure if I'm a big fan of that play. What I am a fan though, that's a Magi's on Diana.
I guess. I mean, if you're going to be hunting for kills, that would be a good reason to do so, right? Get stacks on the mage eyes. But I'm kind of with you. I don't like that play at all, considering you saw all 5 members commit themselves for the mid lane. That means you have the rest of the map for your suppressor. And I like happyphace going straight into trying to shove in that top side. UnusedMove could have stayed in mid and gotten the mid lane pushing as well. Örvendeck and ozquikmick staying under tower have enough disengage that they could have possibly been able to hold on in that situation. Instead, you try and force a fight. You wind up losing 2 members still. Either way, you don't get the map pressure you could have gotten in response, and you allow your opponents, to start to claw back a little bit more. SPCC a little bit too hungry for the team fights, not really playing the map correctly. Another situation, I'm going to be a broken record here, that teleport would have been so useful for happyphace to be able to teleport back in during that 4-man dive. Had to commit to the top side. I get it. Didn't really draw the aggro like he would have liked, and perhaps there is a way that Wavell can get back in this.
This is the other way you deal with the Darius split pushing, is you ignore him for now until he gets to the base.
I feel like we've seen this before, Aaron. Another Paranoia on a lonesome Stack. Does not have the ability to stay alive once more as blahbzehh is able to get the solo kill. Now Örvendeck and ozquikmick are here. They're going to look for a bit of retribution, but they've got to be fast about it because the rest of Wavell was making their way to that bot side. They do eventually give up on that play, looks to clear out that vision instead. Why? Well, that main goal is going to be that Cloud Soul. They're going to try to commit to it even with a 4v5, even without their mid laner, as happyphace does step forward. The Stand United already used on Gene. Perhaps a bit premature right there. It forces out a disengage, and they might be giving away the Cloud Soul for free.
So if Stand United doesn't come through there and they try and save it, Kai'Sa dies and they lose any sort of pressure they could possibly have of fighting for Baron if they try and go for it. So Stand United, while it looked early, probably was the only saving grace for Kai'Sa right there. Otherwise, we would have a 4-2 Kai'Sa.
I suppose if you're going to bring logic into this, that does make sense. I just don't feel that they should have even been in a position, though, where Kai'Sa's getting out when you have that numbers advantage around the Dragon Pit, knowing that Soul is on the line.
They also have... They've got no vision in the river. The furthest ward they have right now is in the back of Baron Pit, and trying to push up into your own jungle when you've got maybe 2-3 wards in there, not the smartest idea, especially if Kai'Sa's alone.
Paranoia as well as the real one arriving means another quick kill. Destiny used on the bot side of the map, though, and that's one of those global ultimates gone. Fortunately for Wavell, teleport is going to be right back up and available for the real one, so we shouldn't see a counter-action Baron play. In fact, we're not seeing any counter-action plays at all, and I have to admit, considering the lead that SPCC had, I really expected them to sort of accelerate this game and start to look to push their advantage. At one stage, it was 14 kills to 7. Now we're sitting at 15-11, and sort of this passive play style out of our blue side has allowed Wavell to claw their way back into this match.
So at some point when you get super far ahead, you start worrying if you lose 1 or 2 team fights and you go, oh, how do we end this game? And it looks like they're just trying to go for objectives, maybe wait out for the Elder, but they've taken off so much pressure, and it's allowed Wavell to start farming back up and get back into this game. It's a tank Nocturne, which I'm not a big fan of in this comp, but it's hard for Wavell to come back entirely, but they're making the right steps right now to do so.
Yeah, I would have liked to see more armor shred and for bleed to deal with the Darius. To be honest, I don't mind the tank Nocturne build if you are going to go that direction. I'm not sure the Sterak's gauge really is going to be enough. I do like the Bramble Vest, though. I do think that will help. I don't know. I'm kind of okay with the tank Nocturne because they're going to need something to match that front line of happyphace. It's just a bit unfortunate that Nocturne is going to be kind of put on that duty as opposed to like the Shen, which you would typically expect. Although if happyphace overextends, it could be something wrong. Destiny spots out the death bush, and I mean, Wavell does a smart thing and goes like, yeah, no, we're not walking up towards that.
So the only issue I have with the tank Nocturne build in this comp is your way of dealing with the front line of Darius is Shen and the Cosmic Radiance. Your tanky stats come from the fact that you're invulnerable. So did they necessarily need the tank Nocturne this game? Probably not, especially when you have 3 squishies on the other team that could have potentially been one-shot by the likes of Lethality Nocturne, or at least Bruiser Nocturne.
I mean, I'm the one who plays Electrocute Lethality Nocturne pretty much no matter the situation, right? So part of me is always going to agree with you there. As we see the 2 tanks, though, look to jump on happyphace, who's just able to stay alive, gets a little shield gifted from across the map as well, sidesteps the Void Seeker teleport coming through. This Nocturne still alive, eventually will get stunned and bursted down. Raid boss taken care of. Perhaps now Wavell can look towards that Baron pick. ozquikmick maybe stuck out of position. Flash gold card's going to secure a kill on this support as well. And now in a 3v5 situation, it could be Wavell getting our first Baron of the match. Yet they're going to look for more picks first.
So that was a really good engage there, and just picking out the Darius. It looked a bit scary there for a minute with the fact that they have 2 tanks trying to take out Darius, who
they're going to go for it. You see the pings, you see the R ready, going for that engage, yet here comes the Cosmic Radiance. Everyone is immortal, and the damage just doesn't get done. Yes, they get a kill onto the real one, but at what cost? That is an ace for the side of Wavell, a Baron as well. Our red side is back in this game.
They probably should have just given it and accepted the fact that they are probably stronger in the fights, but I'm not sure if that was the smartest decision to go back in, knowing Taric has ult, knowing that your main damage threat isn't there.
I have to agree. I'm a little bit speechless, actually, by the decision-making coming out of SPCC. This is screaming to me like a team that maybe wasn't expecting to have the lead that they had and just don't know what to do with it. It's a team that kind of seems a little ill-prepared, as much as I hate to say it, and Wavell, they played that patient game. They're picking their moments, and I did question how they're going to be able to deal with that front line. I think in a proper 5v5, happyphace is going to be that issue, but if he is able to be taken away before the fights go through, you now have an 8-1 Kaisa with 3.5 items, now starting to build that last Whisper item as well. The Mortal Reminder has come through. That's certainly going to help with happyphace, and SPCC, they have given up an 8.5k gold lead. They are now behind for the first time in this match.
Wow. Just wow. Wavell has come back and they've done a solid job of not tilting, not giving up early just because they got behind, but just staying solid, picking their moments. I like the build coming out of TF here. Going for the Everfrost into Lichbane and Rapid Fire Cannon, looking for the long range stuns to give more CC than just the taunt and the stun by Taric. So Hopefully we see that coming for the next fight after this one coming up now, but I think Wavell will have a stronger fight if Darius is not in the right position here.
Can I just say something as an aside real quick as this Elder Dragon gets started? New Lichbane art, not a fan. Most of the art, I'm a fan of. Lichbane art for some reason, I don't know. Doesn't do it to me. What does do it to me, though, could be this Elder Dragon pickup Wavell. They don't really want to fight through that choke point, not with happyphace sitting there, and that is going to be Elder secured. This is a pretty massive buff as now, for the first time in what feels like a very long time, SPCC. They are grouped as 5. This is when this team should be at its strongest in theory. And I'm curious to see how Wavell reacts. Trying to pick a fight here is going to be very difficult despite the comeback they're trying to put through.
So from how they're pressuring now, it looks like they just weren't confident to end without the Elder buff. And that they weren't...
Oh, they may have found the real one right here. Stuns come through as the Stand United, but the shields won't be enough. Not with that true damage burn. Not with that execute. SPC has done enough playing around. They're going to end the game right here, right now. Give them the Elder buff. Find the fight. End the game. That was the strategy, and although Wavell did everything they could to bring themselves back in this, it's going to be SPCC knocking away the win.
And SPCC locking in their place in finals. So, as the last kill slowly comes through.
Yeah, what's gonna take its way. UnusedMove actually might go down here, so it's not clean, and they might have been a little bit too greedy for those kills, actually. You still have Örvendeck, who should have the damage to blitz through. This death timer's a little bit too long, so the game will still end. Was it the cleanest game? No. Was it the perfectly executed game? Definitely not. But SPCC, they still find that one last team fight that they needed with the help of the Elder Dragon, and they do advance to the playoffs. They will finish the season with at least a 4-4 record, possibly even 5-3 seeding will be what they play for next week. And for their opponents in Wavell, you know what? I like that comeback. I like that resolve. They also get to try again in 1 week's time.
I feel like if they got ahead slightly earlier, or if TF wasn't as behind as he was, maybe that game was a little closer towards the end, but they came back from a major goal deficit and made SPCC really fight hard for their win to the point where they weren't confident without the Elder. So it was a good fight back.
Yeah, I still don't know if that was the right call. I feel in a lot of ways we could have seen more from the SPC side really push that lead when they had it. And I keep going back to that ghost pick. I promise you this is the last time I'm going to mention it. If that had been a teleport, perhaps some of those skirmishes that started to go against them could have been turned around. I'm thinking about one play down in the bot lane in particular that could have been a earlier decider than that Elder Drake fight in the end. As it stands, though, SPCC, they still get their win. They still are going to be advancing to those playoffs. And on that note, we're going to be throwing it to a quick break. It won't be a long one because that game did go a little bit longer than expected. We got to go straight into our second match of this doubleheader, so don't go away. More Queensland High School League of Legends when we return.